Allow me at this point to invite the Secretary Chief Executive Officer of EACC, Mr. Abdi Mahmood, to make his remarks. Welcome, CEO.
The Chairperson of EACC, Dr. David Oginde, our commissioners, the directors of EACC, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning once again. Thank you. So let me appreciate the media for honoring invitation by this commission for the launch of the financial year 2023-2024. I also commend the media for their role in promoting good governance and accountability in our society. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is obliged under Section 27 of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act and Section 45 of the Leadership and Integrity Act to prepare and submit its annual report describing its activities and financial statements every year. Further, we are expected to publish and publicize the report, thus the reason for this launch. Let me point out that the annual report contains the Commission's achievements, milestones, challenges, and financial statements for the financial year 2023-2024. Let me also highlight that during this period under review, the Commission realized its strategies to prioritize high-impact investigations, asset recovery, corruption prevention, and partnerships. The key milestones that were realized during the reporting period are as follows. 1. The Commission realized and forwarded 126 investigation files to the Director of Public Prosecutions, recommending prosecutions of suspects. We also finalized 56 files on violations of Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act. Further, we recovered corruptly acquired assets and unexplained wealth held by public officers worth about Kenya shillings 2.9 billion. The Commission also filed 47 new suits to recover assets worth 9.2 billion Kenya shillings. Cumulatively, the Commission is currently pursuing over 400 cases for forfeiture of corruptly acquired assets valued at approximately 49.5 billion Kenya shillings in various courts across the country. Let me emphasize that as a Commission, we view recovery of corruptly acquired assets as one of our key strategies that we will continue to pursue, for the reasons that the activity of actually recovering corruptly acquired assets acts in three different ways. One, it is a way of restituting assets to the rightful owners, who are the public. It is also a way of punishing the suspects for stealing assets. And finally, it is a preventive approach in that it dissuades would-be public officers from stealing public assets. Because at the end of the day, if they realize that these assets will be recovered, they may not take the pain of stealing the assets, because eventually they will realize that they will lose those assets. Finally, let me also comment on the charts that were shared with us. When the Director of Preventive Services was presenting, he told us that 42% of the reports that we receive at the Commission are on bribery cases. In most cases, bribery is viewed as not serious corruption offenses. But when you look at the statistics that were given and shared with us, you realize that this is actually a major concern for members of the public, for our country. And for that reason, the Commission will deliberately focus on ensuring that bribery at points of services is reduced, for the simple reason that the common ordinary person out there comes across this every other day, whether on the road, whether in pursuit of acquiring an ID card, whether in pursuit of trying to get a license, whether in pursuit of trying to sell their wares. This is an activity they come across every other day. And we cannot any longer term it as petty corruption. It is actually what concerns the ordinary person. If you ask the ordinary person what corruption is, to them actually it is bribery. We will pursue with the same vigor high impact, high value corruption cases. But this is an area where we want to also focus on, so that we make services more available to our people without extortion, without them being extorted, or without them being asked to pay a bribe. You will also realize that when we are looking at the perception surveys every year, what we basically look at when you ask the ordinary person whether they have ever come across corruption, what they will tell you is they visited a public office and a public officer actually asked for a bribe. To them, that is what corruption is. And we must answer to the request, or rather to the demand of our people, and from the statistics of the report that was shared with us. Because if we don't respond to the facts and the statistics that are shared with us, and we concentrate only on high impact cases, then we will lose the focus. And for that good reason, many people will always, in many cases when we arrest people who have received bribe, will blame us for not going after the big fish, but for simply picking this small person. But that small person is actually the person who is causing a lot of inconvenience to the members of the public and to our people. And for that reason, and in order to make the services more available and more affordable to our people, we must be able to deal with these particular people. I know we have Huduma centers all across the country where all these services, most of the services have been put together. But even then, those places are also not safe from extortion and bribery. So for that reason, we will pursue that avenue with vigor, so that we also deal with that particular inconvenience and that particular offense. So with those many remarks, it is now my opportunity to welcome our chairperson, Dr. David Oginde, to give his keynote address. Karibu sir.
Those who are here with us this morning, our commissioners, all of you for turning up this morning for this very special occasion. I want to thank our directors for the hard work that you put into this commission and ensuring that all that has been reported actually happens. Thank you, media, for coming to join us this morning. As has already been mentioned, this is a very significant event for us, not only to fulfill the law, as has been mentioned, but also to let Kenyans know what we, as their watchdogs, are doing in the fight against corruption. I want to join the CEO in just appreciating those people who have worked very hard behind the scenes to compile this report, and for the media who have joined us this morning, this early morning, to come and tell Kenyans, amplify our voices to Kenyans on what is happening. This report, as has been mentioned, is an accountability statement that is required of us by law to let the nation know the activities and programs that we have undertaken in the period under review. The launch of this particular program, or rather report, is really to ensure that each and every person, those who are living according to the law in integrity, and those who may be thinking of ways and means of embezzling public resources or stealing our resources, that you know that you are causing great harm to this nation, and that this particular commission is working hard to ensure that that does not happen. The fight against corruption requires the commitment of all of us. And there are particular stakeholders that have been very supportive in this work and that we still call upon to join us in ensuring that we do not lose this battle, this war. Each of our stakeholders have a critical role that they play, and let me just mention a few. One of our critical stakeholders is Parliament. This is where laws are made. And as a commission, there are things that we would like to do, but we cannot do them unless there is a legal framework, because we do not just respond. Sometimes people ask us, how comes this is happening and you're doing nothing about it? And many times it's because the law does not provide for us to do those things or limits the way we can act. And so there is need for Parliament to help us in strengthening the existing legal framework to address challenges that impede the effective anti-corruption interventions. In this regard, we call upon Parliament. There's right now a bill, Anti-Corruption Amendment Bill 2025, that has been published by the Honorable Attorney General, and we commend her for that, to address some of the gaps that exist in the current laws so that the legal framework for fighting corruption can be strengthened. And so we want to call upon our members of Parliament, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate, to give this their support so that we can strengthen these laws that will enable us to do a better job. Members of the public are, of course, the key stakeholders. We want to call upon the public to discharge their civic responsibilities and supporting our anti-corruption initiative. And we want to ask our members of the public not to engage in acts of bribery, corruption. Yes, sometimes it speeds up some of the things that you would want or services that you would want from government, but in the end, it erodes our environment for doing business. It therefore is something that should not be encouraged. Instead, we want to ask that you should refuse. Even when you are asked for a bribe, you must refuse and instead report any incidences of corruption that you may encounter. The media we have already mentioned. We want to appreciate media. You have done an excellent job in unearthing some of the things that are happening behind the scenes, making them public, and we want to appreciate you for those efforts and also continue to encourage you wherever you see any corrupt deals, any unbecoming conduct, that you bring this to the fore, and we, if we had not started any work on it, would pursue the same to see what can be done. We have noted as a commission that actually the corrupt sometimes fear publicity more than they fear the law. And so if you play your role, we can actually reduce and stem this tide of corruption. A very special group on families. We have observed an emerging trend and pattern where public officials are enrolling the members of their families, their children, their wives, their husbands, their relatives, to be their proxies in stealing from the public. And so these are the people who sometimes are used to create companies, fictitious companies that are going to be used to tender in government and steal the resources, place them in their own private accounts that have been opened, and this has eroded the role of family in upholding integrity and ethics within our country. The sad thing is that when the law finally catches up with you, we have had situations where a whole family, husband, wife, children, and sometimes nephews, nieces, have had to be arrested, and it doesn't look good. It totally destroys the future of young people who are very innocent, have been asked by their father or their mother to help them open this account, sometimes perhaps unknowingly, and then their future is destroyed because of that. We want to call upon our leaders. Do not destroy your family in the pursuit of illicit wealth. It will not help them. When it is finally, the law finally catches up with you, you have brought your whole family down, your whole house into jeopardy. So we want to call upon family members to refuse to be enlisted in corrupt deals. Instead, children, spouses, ask questions. Where is this money coming from? Why are we opening this account? I understand we are not supposed to do business with government. Why are we tendering for this particular project? When we as members of families ask those kinds of questions, we will play a major role in stemming some of the conflict of interest incidences that we have seen that have destroyed many, many families. Parents also should take up their roles in shaping morality in our society. I wonder what happened to the days when parents would question children when they came from school with a pen that is not theirs, with shoes that don't belong to them, with blazers that don't belong to them, and say, where did you get this one from? And they are forced to take them back. That is how to instill integrity in our society. In these days, we seem to be celebrating our children when they bring things that we don't know where they have got from, and thereby encouraging corruption. Professionals. I say this with a very sad heart, but we have noted that most of the major corruption scandals are facilitated and executed by professionals. Architects, engineers, lawyers, accountants, procurement managers, HR managers, doctors, and the list goes on. The very highly regarded professions that we used to aspire to when we were young have been destroyed because of people who engage in corruption. I can tell you for a fact, if professionals were to take a stand not to engage in corrupt deals, mega corruptions will die suddenly, because these people do not, the people who engage in the corruption do not have the mind, the capacity to design some of the corruption scandals that we see, but they are facilitated by intelligent professionals who show them what to do, how to do it. We sit in this same room, which is our boardroom, and you listen to the presentations that are being made about the mega scandals, and you can see for sure there is a brilliant mind that was behind the design and execution of this particular scandal. And it is very sad, particularly professionals in the procurement sector. I would urge us to remain, uphold fidelity to our professions and the others that we have mentioned and many more that we have not. So we want to urge professionals to desist from deploying their expertise to facilitate theft of public funds. Further, professional bodies that regulate these professionals, we would like to urge our professional bodies to take proactive measures to enforce their codes of conduct and not allow those people who have engaged in corrupt conduct to continue to practice within that profession. Instead, to promote ethical conduct among their members. Another key stakeholder from where I came, the religious community. We need to stand up against corruption. I know a lot has been said and a lot is being done, but we must continue to rebuke corruption from our pulpits and religious gatherings. We need to intensify our role as custodians of morality and ethics in society. Refuse to be silenced by receiving proceeds of corruption as donations to your religious institutions and projects, because a dog with a bone in its mouth cannot bark. And when we receive some of these donations and contributions, we need to find out how it was all acquired. And therefore, religious community, we want to urge you to join us in this fight against corruption. We want to highlight also and mention the centrality of ethical leadership and conduct. We have said before, and we say again, this emerging culture of leaders using very foul language, abusive language, unethical conduct in public, in social media, this does not help in building a culture in our nation of integrity, morality, and ethics. We want to call upon all of us who are leaders. Let's conduct ourselves with decorum. Let's conduct ourselves with dignity. Let's bring dignity back, if we use Trump's language. Let's make leadership great again. People used to look up to leaders to set examples. Even the way a leader walked, we used to admire just the way a leader walked around. You rarely saw a leader running or hurrying to any place. They walked with dignity, showing that they are in charge. These days we see leaders rolling on the roads, on the floor, in strikes, teachers. Where did we lose it? We want to call upon our leaders. Let's be role models in society. It is the only way we'll raise up a generation that can take this nation forward. Otherwise, we are going to raise up a generation, and we are seeing it. Our young people now use the same foul language. They insult leaders. Where have they got it from? From us as leaders. So we want to call upon our leaders to uphold dignity, decorum in our conduct. As I close, I want to assure our country of our commitment as a commission to discharge our mandate in accordance with the law. And as I've mentioned, we want to call upon stakeholders, and we have embarked on a process of meeting with various groups of stakeholders under the Kenya Leadership and Integrity Forum. CLIF, we want to engage more closely with the various stakeholders in the fight against corruption, so that it can be a whole nation approach. It is not left to us as a commission, because we do not have the capacity to do all that needs to be done. But if all of us come together, the CLIF brings together stakeholders from across different sectors of our society, from business, from government, from religious community, and other sectors, the international community. All of us can join hands together and get rid of this pandemic from our country. And so we'll be working much more closely than we have done before with various stakeholders, and we are knocking at their doors so that we can see what can be done. Thank you all for coming today, and thank you for attending this launch. We look forward to a great year This time again, next year or later this year, we'll be giving you a better progress report, perhaps than we have done today. Thank you very much.
It's a countdown. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, CEO. Our annual report for the financial year 2023-2024 is officially launched and released to the public.